I'm just here with Sam. We just had our first, well, I've just had my first earthquake in Japan or in Hokkaido. It lasted for about, I don't know, 15 seconds. And I got woken up by my phone going, earthquake, earthquake, earthquake.
Yeah.
And then there's an announcement over the loudspeaker system, and Sam came around to check on me. And we haven't evacuated to the orange building up the road.
That's right.
But and Sam was just checking to see if there was a tsunami coming, but looks okay.
Yeah, it looks okay.
Looks okay. So
Just earthquake.
just earthquake, just earthquake.
This means under the ground
Yeah.
to Usu, mountains.
Mountain.
Yeah. Now magmas
Yeah, yeah.
stuck here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very, very strong, very, very high powers.
Yeah.
Drumming for the under
Yep.
to ground and come up the mountains.
Yeah.
Mountains, come up.
Yeah, I know. Pushes them up.
Yeah,
But
so much strong energies now stuck here.
when was the last eruption?
It's 40 years before.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, that pushed up the
Yeah.
mountain before. Yeah.
And volcanoes.
Yeah. There was a big one. Yeah,
big
40 years ago.
Yeah.
And
Maybe 100 years one times.
yeah, there was another big one as well.
Yeah. Energies stuck here.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit of excitement. Woohoo. So it's the morning after the earthquake, and it wasn't that big a deal here. I mean, like it only lasted 15 seconds, but there was an aftershock this morning, probably only for like 5-10 seconds and milder. And it's a beautiful day today. You can see out here. Gorgeous. And there was a tsunami of like 15 to 30 centimetres supposedly up here. But northern Honshu, the main island of Japan, got hit worse, and they evacuated thousands of people, and there were injuries and there were some bit of destruction. But that's my first real earthquake, I think, in Japan. So exciting and interesting. We recently had that earthquake up here, which was short-lived, but it certainly brings home the issue of survival if you are caught in an emergency like that. So what they recommend up here is that everyone has a kind of bug-out bag or a emergency bag. So I put one together and I thought I'd show it to you. Some of you may know I was a survival instructor for most of my life, teaching wilderness skills. And I'm not a big fan of survival kits. They're really useful if you get stuck. But my philosophy has always been, have one, but really it's the knowledge that you have in your head that will keep you alive. So it's better to actually learn some actual survival skills rather than relying on technology or equipment. But I'll show you what's in this bag, and it's just something I threw together quickly. It's no big deal, but give you an idea. And hopefully never have to use it. So this is what I put together, and I'm sure there are better arrangements and not so good arrangements for survival stuff, but this pretty much covers the 4 basics of survival: shelter, water, fire, and food. And for shelter, we have those aluminium blankets, as well as raincoats. You certainly don't want to be cold and freezing and get hypothermia up here in Hokkaido. So that's shelter taken care of. Not that you'd probably need it, because there's a evacuation centre just up the road, about 300 metres. Anyway, shelter, water, of course, that's going to last you a couple of days, I guess. But there are plenty of creeks and rivers in Hokkaido, so I don't think it'd be such a big problem. And they don't freeze over. For fire, we have this little gas stove and a can of gas. That'll keep you going for a few days as well. And of course, a lighter. Also important. So shelter, water, fire, and then food. Food may surprise you that it comes last, but people can get by without food for quite a few days. But obviously it's a nice to have, especially in cold weather. So I just picked up a selection of stuff from the shop, such as this kind of cake things to give you calories, the rice, more cans of rice stuff, milk biscuits, and then of course there's the torch and some batteries. Pretty basic, pretty simple, but hopefully never have to use it. But it's here, and for people staying here, I'll let them know that it's there if they ever need it.
One of the weird issues I've had here has been with heating. Now, I've got this really good kerosene heater that cost me a packet, and it works fine and it warms up this room. But I was trying to find smaller heaters for the bedroom and the bathroom area. And so initially I bought a heater for Misao just to keep her feet warm. But what I found was that they're not very powerful. And it's really weird because in Australia, you could buy, say, a 1200 watt fan heater, and it will really pump out the air, like, and it will warm up a place fairly quickly. If you have a small room, it will warm up fairly quickly. But here in Japan, even if they're 1200 watt, they just put out this like very soft heat that barely warms your feet unless you're like 20 centimeters away from it. And if you're 40 centimeters away, you can't feel the damn thing. And I just don't get it. And I went into well, first of all, I got the one for Misao, and that's this one here. I'll show it to you. Okay, and that worked to warm her feet as long as you were virtually right on top of it. And then I thought, well, that's not really working. So I ended up ordering one on the internet, and I looked at like heaps and heaps of reviews, and I ended up getting this one. Same deal. You put it on, and if your feet are 20 centimeters away, yes, it will warm them, but anything other than that, it's pretty useless, right? And so I then looked again on the internet, and I picked up another one, this one. Same deal. So now I have this used heater store, and none of them work very well at all, unless you just want to warm your feet. They don't seem to have an intermediary step where you can get something that warms up a room. And when you go to talk to them about it, they'll say, oh yeah, get a kerosene heater. Now, I did think about that, but to get a small kerosene heater for the bedroom, they're very expensive. You know, they're like $1,600. And I don't want one that just operates in the room and you get the gases coming out because you've got the carbon monoxide issues. So I wanted one that was, sent the exhaust outside. And for that, I wanted to actually have it hooked up to the kerosene tank that I've got outside the house. But that was going to cost another packet because you had to get all the piping done to get to the bedroom. So I went into this is a long story, sorry. I went into these shops, like a bunch of them, and I took every single heater that they had, fan heater, and I hooked them up and I tested them. And I must have tested 30 heaters and had staff coming up to me kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing. But of course they're Japanese, so they're very polite, even though they think you're an idiot. And I was trying to explain that these just weren't cutting it, and I needed something that would warm the room, and they really didn't have an answer except kerosene heater. So the other aspect is that I have all of these work off electricity, even this one, and this thing works great, but
let's say you have an earthquake or you have a power outage, this thing will shut down, which is not so good when the temperatures say -10. The place will become a bit of an icebox. So I bought a backup one, which is a kerosene heater, which is this one. And the beauty of this one is that it's not electric. So you just basically turn the switch and light it. And it does have batteries in it, so you can actually just turn this around and it will light without using a lighter, but you don't need it. Anyway, and the good thing about it is that you can also cook on top. And so you can continue to cook because the cooker that I have here is electric as well, and that would go in a power outage. So that's my backup. But for the bedroom, I decided to get this thing. Good old oil heater. Now they take a while to warm up, but it does a pretty good job actually, and it's got a timing thing on it which I've had trouble working out, but I finally, where is it? Not there, there. Which I finally figured it out. It's a strange arrangement, but anyway. So if you end up buying a house in Japan, especially in the cold areas, just remember it's problematic depending on what you want. Anyway, that's my heater saga, and if you want to buy a used heater, let me know. Oh, and I did consider an air conditioning unit, but they're pretty expensive and people warn me off them because of the cost of electricity. But I'm now thinking that I might even see if I can get a small unit for the bathroom, but I haven't made up my mind yet. So the saga continues. As you can see, I have this very nice kerosene heater here, but the space around it is a bit sparse. It looks a bit isolated there with that big open area around it. And so I decided to enclose it. And that was going to be a bit of a muck around because of the piping at the back. But I gave it a shot, and yeah, I think it turned out all right. Well, I'm very happy with the idea I came up with for enclosing this heater. It's not finished yet. This is just set up at the moment to just get the measurements right. But it turned out okay, and I'll show you the end result in just a minute. I'm almost finished. In the next video, I'll tell you about our trip to Hakodate, and along the way we found this amazing Japanese garden that was just astounding. But that's to come.